Yet of finding that missing Malaysia Airlines jet. Fresh signals heard from the depths of the southern Indian Ocean. Now, though, it's a race against time before those black boxes stop emitting signals. The news coming 1 month after flight MH370 en route to China disappeared from radar screens. Mark Thompson explains.
On March 8th, Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 left Kuala Lumpur Airport bound for Beijing. The plane took off at 12:41 a.m. local time, carrying 239 passengers and staff. An hour later, it's disappeared from radar screens.
Malaysia Airlines confirmed that this flight, MH370, lost contact with Subang Air Traffic Control.
Vietnam launched an initial search in the South China Sea, spotting 2 large oil slicks near the plane's last known location. They would turn out to be a false alarm, one of many in the weeks to come. Radar tracking indicated the plane veered sharply off course at the same time its communication and tracking systems were turned off. Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak refused to be drawn on suggestions of foul play.
Despite media reports that the plane was hijacked, I wish to be very clear. We are still investigating all possibilities.
A week after flight MH370's disappearance, 26 countries were involved in the search. Satellite data appears to show the plane was still flying for nearly 7 hours along the southern corridor after contact was lost. That's led investigators to the southern Indian Ocean off the west coast of Australia. Increasingly frustrated by the lack of progress, relatives of those on board threatened to go on hunger strike. Meanwhile, authorities turned their attentions to the pilot and co-pilot, as well as 2 passengers who had boarded the plane using stolen passports. That's led to another dead end. On March 20th, the search finally gathered pace when Australian satellites spotted 2 objects. Despite crews failing to find any sign of debris, more potential items detected by Chinese and French satellites raised hopes of a breakthrough. 4 days later, families of those on board were informed via text by the airline that the plane had crashed into the Indian Ocean. That led to a protest outside the Malaysian embassy in Beijing.
Because no evidence. They just give out the result from analysis from the satellite data and nothing found. So why could we believe?
Hopes of finding the plane were raised this weekend when a Chinese ship detected a signal thought to be from a black box. An Australian vessel also heard transmissions on Monday and Tuesday in a separate location.
I believe we are searching in the right area, but we need to visually identify aircraft wreckage before we can confirm with certainty that this is the final resting place.
Every day counts with the clock ticking on the plane's black box. Its batteries were only expected to last a month, but could last longer if they were fully charged. The box provides the best chance of finding out what happened in the flight's last hours.
And let's speak now with aviation safety consultant Chris Yates. He's the founder of Yates Consulting. He joins us from Manchester. Thanks for being with us here on France 24. First of all, how much of a race for time is it? How much time have those rescuers got if they want to find the black box?
Oh, you know, Francois, it's very much a race against time for the simple reason that the batteries on the flight data voice recorders are rated for a 30-day lifespan. We're beyond that now. We're up to 33 days. Angus Houston saying this morning that he considered that the energy levels in the batteries were starting to diminish, and that means that any day now the batteries will, in effect, go dead, and the sounding from the pingers on board the data recorder and the voice recorder will also stop to work.
Right now, though, do you think that they have located the area that we are close to finding that plane?
I think it's pretty much certain that we are pretty close to finding the last resting place, really, of Malaysia 370 for a whole variety of reasons, not least of which is that over the period of time we've had various different reports of pings being heard from both subsurface, and we've tracked pings, we've tracked satellite pings to identify where the aircraft might be. We're in the right sort of vicinity at the moment, and we are picking up sounds from beneath the ocean. So a very good sign indeed. And let's hope that over the coming 2-3 days, we actually pin the sounds down to an even tighter area so that we can get the submersibles down and have a look-see for wreckage and, of course, the black boxes.
What's troubling in all of this, but maybe it's because of, I don't know, the area, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. When there was the Rio-Paris flight that went down, there were objects that surfaced and that were found floating on the surface of the ocean. Here, nothing has been found so far.
Nothing has been found, but I kind of suspect that that is because, you know, it took 30 days, really, before we identified a potential area to actually look. But that's when we first got the sounds coming up from the ocean. In that time, of course, if anything had landed on the surface of the ocean, floated for a while, it would have drifted off with the currents, with the tides in the ocean. And some of that wreckage could be upwards of 1,000 kilometers, maybe further, away from where the plane actually came down.
Chris Yates, in all your years, have you ever seen a case like this?
No, is the short answer. You know, we've tracked aviation accidents for an awful lot of years, but this has been a profound mystery up until now. Why would, for example, we're assuming that the aircraft was taken, why would somebody take an aircraft and fly it deep into the southern Indian Ocean, where it's only by luck rather than good fortune that we found pings which may, and it's highly probable now, indicates where the black boxes lie.
What do you think is the most plausible explanation?
I still come down to the possibility that the aeroplane was taken perhaps by a disgruntled employee, a pilot or co-pilot, or a third person involved. For a whole variety of reasons. The ACARS system turned off deliberately. The transponders turned off deliberately. The aeroplane turned around deliberately. And we are assuming that it did kind of a dogleg around the Malacca Straits and then eventually turned to the south and flew directly into the southern Indian Ocean. That indicates premeditation. It indicates that somebody had a hand in all of this.
But why would you turn around and fly for 7 hours if you're on a kamikaze mission?
Well, it could be a kamikaze mission, but couldn't, if you understand what I mean. What I mean is that perhaps there was an intent at first, second thoughts crept in, and then a realization that you can't go back, and therefore a decision taken to just continue on until the plane ran out of fuel. It's a possibility at the moment, and more will be revealed once we get the data recorder. It's unlikely we will get any result that provides a concrete answer from the voice recorder, but certainly from the data recorder, there will be considerable length of time of a recording which could give an indication as to a sequence of steps that were taken to take that aeroplane.
And the thesis that's also been heard that there could have been somehow a depressurization of the entire airplane. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't really put a great deal of store in the concept that this was an airplane that was flying depressurized and then flew into the southern Indian Ocean for a variety of reasons, not least of which is that the aeroplane, if it had depressurized, would have started to depressurize fairly early. The flight plan was already inputted into the flight management computer, and that flight plan took the plane on a direct routing from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. So there had to be some human involvement here to literally take wrest control of the aeroplane from the flight management system, turn it around and into an entirely different direction.
Chris Yates of Yates Consulting, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to continue, of course, to see how the story unfolds. Thanks for being with us from Manchester.
Thank you.
Stay with us. More to come here on France 24. We'll have all the day's business news and sports. A look ahead to Bayern versus Manchester United in the Champions League, and a look back at how Paris blew a 3-1 lead in the first leg and wound up losing to Chelsea.